So for me, it's a Disney film. It's a Pixar film. It's like you take a very small kind of a thought and kind of make it cinematic, kind of make it visual. So for me, that interval scene is so important because for me, it was about Holi. Them celebrating Holi together in a way, which is a very North Indian thing. What's wrong here? What's wrong in calling that guy a blackie? He's black. It's for him like 1 + 1 is 2 only. He's coming with that innocence. He's not coming with the understanding that it's hurting him. Yeah, I know it's going to hurt him. He is a blackie and, F you. He's not saying that. That's a big...
Yeah.
I think that is what is the, I would say, reason why I wanted Aamir sir to play this role.
Yeah.
Here is a couple who's just kind of... It's unusual that he's walked away for a week. It's actually unusual that they're not fighting over it. And for me, that was the attractive part. Kartar Paji says so beautifully that everything that is beautiful will have some struggle. Then he says, but what is beautiful about these guys? Every house is ages like a person. And when you have special people in your house refuses to age. See, what this movie we hope to do, and it's doing, is the fact that now if you find some person who's with Down syndrome or autism, who's watched this film, they will not be awkward. Like Tourist Family has got a kid. Life is Beautiful has got a father and son. Here is Gulshan's point of view. How seriously is he going to take a sob story?
Yeah.
If you tell him a sob story, if Kartar Paji had told him a sob story and not told him this is bum and all that, he would have balked, okay, big deal, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
He's that kind of a guy. The number of videos being shared of people with Down syndrome and autism visiting the theatre for the first time. And they sharing videos of them laughing, crying, watching the movie, coming out, dancing in the end song. Those videos are coming up a lot and they tag us. And many of them say they look just like me. Aamir sir just looked at me and said, I think we've struck a deep chord. That was a great moment for me.
So we say welcome to a hit Bollywood director, R.S. Prasanna, Hindi film director. Prasanna, I'm really, really happy for you. Waited a long time for this.
Thank you.
Aamir waited a long time for this. Yeah. And when the film opened, people were like, will this work? Will this not work? Will this flavor work? Whatever. But it's done very well for the kind of film it is. I think a lot of people are missing the big picture because they're taking numbers of older films, pre-pandemic films. But for this kind of film, in this atmosphere with OTT or whatever it is, these are very, very good numbers.
Thank you.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
But does one part of you wish that you'd gotten the older numbers?
No.
Okay.
See, I think numbers, as long as the producer is happy, the only person who should worry about numbers is the producer.
Right.
So my producer is happy. So as long as the producer is happy, beyond a point, I think numbers don't matter to me as a director.
Okay.
As I think it should not matter to any director.
Yeah, and it should not matter to the audience as well, but somehow we all keep talking about it. So
yeah, in fact, I think it was Aamir sir himself who started the trend of giving out numbers in Bollywood at the very least.
Yeah.
So I think for me, more than numbers, Buddy, it's just the responses of people, because that is what is the qualitative kind of thing, like just the outpouring of love for the film. And I think Aamir sir after the film told me that we made a truly special film and we're striking a very deep chord.
Right.
So yesterday I came for the Ability Film Festival, right? So to see so many people, elders in the theatre, kids in the theatre, laughing, it's like bringing back the good old times, that is what is important.
The film kind of worked for me.
Sure.
I really wept at a few scenes.
Thank you.
But there were also some scenes that I was not, like I couldn't understand the meter of it. So I want to talk about those things, right?
Sure.
So I'll first start with Aamir Khan's performance, which is kind of defining the tonality of the film, because it's a broad performance. As a director, an actor, you're going to have a discussion about what pitch the performance should be in. What was that discussion like, and how did you say, okay, this is how this character is going to be played?
There is a certain tonal quality that one has to fix for a film.
Yeah.
Are we looking at a film which is ultra realistic? Are we looking at a film which is over the top? Or are we looking at a film which is somewhere in the middle? Is a kind of a inner monologue that consciously or otherwise every filmmaker has to go through. So if you see, this film for me represents the quintessential kind of like the Hollywood 90s kind of the film, those kind of films which I grew up watching. Like Robin Williams, Patch Adams, for example, or those films which Good Will Hunting, the feel-good movie thing which was really missing for a long time. So when this film came to me, when Campeones was offered, I loved the film, and that's how this whole process started. And in it, I felt I could see a quintessential Indian mainstream film, which my father and mother can watch along with my kids. And I can also watch.
Right. What is the flavor of that film?
It's pretty much the same.
Okay.
You should watch it. I mean, see how that how that works for you. We have followed pretty much the similar format of it, because when something works in an adaptation, it's usually very dangerous to change things for no reason.
Yeah.
What we change, what we adapt is also a very interesting process, So quite often times I've seen people say, I'm making this remake, but I change everything. I'm making this remake, but I change everything. But the hurry with which they're trying to telegraph the fact that they've changed everything, I'm like, then why are you making the remake? But we were very happy with the film, the flow of the film. Most of the incidents are the same. What we did was to Indianize it, was to add what we felt subjectively, that these are all things that if we take this kind of world and characters and this kind of arc in the story, if we place it here, what are the things that we need to kind of ramp up? And it's not a very mechanical process. It's a very intuitive
and emotional kind
and a very emotional kind of
So, for example, what is an Indianized thing here?
He discovers and this is post-release, so spoiler alert, where he finds the mom with the cook in the second half, right? So in the original Spanish film, it just ends with him discovering them coming out of the lift. In fact, they're in the lift, in that, if I remember right. Or maybe they step out, I don't remember. He finds them together, there's a shock, and that's where the scene ends. Just that. And then they move on with life. So for me and Divya, intuitively felt this.
Divya is the writer.
Divya is my writer. And I love the film as it is. I felt, it's great as it is. But now when I want to, if this is the material given to me for my audience, which watches Shubh Mangal, which watches Kalyana Samel Sadham, which watches a mainstream theatrical film, I felt that this was the beginning of a beautiful scene rather than the end of a beautiful scene. For me, I felt that, there is a certain twist that happens, but it's not just for the effect. I need to kind of squeeze something out of it. It has to be a kind of a detour, which kind of gives you like a feeling of a detour, but it's actually coming back in many ways to the theme of the film, which is inclusivity and what is normal for you, what is not, may not be normal for me, and all of those challenges, which is basically thrown at. The whole film is a series of lessons learnt. It's very close to the structure of, the classic Charles Dickens movie, book. What is that? The Christmas
Carol.
The Christmas Carol. Well, one guy has to go through a lot of things to
Past,
learn,
present, and
to
future.
kind of evolve. Something like even God's Favorite, a play by, I think, Neil Simon, where this guy his faith has to be tested. He has to go through many, many levels. This is essentially that film. There is no large arc. You know that they're going to win. Maybe that's what you think as you go through at least. So then what is the film about?
But they win in their own way.
They will in their own way. And also, for example, in Lagan. So this was one adaptation we did, that we wanted that to be the beginning of a conversation. So then Divya wrote this beautiful piece of, which everyone loved in the movie, which is that whole conversation, those layers.
About the mother and the cook.
The mother and the cook, and it all coming out, and then the whole concept of us all being a team. And I did this for you. This is the time for you to kind of support me. And he is playing. Why is this happening now? Like, I have a match, and so my job was to constantly not lose the narrative grip. To constantly tell the audience that we are aware that this is a shock to him. It looks like a detour, but then the champions come in, the Sitaares come in, and they kind of complete that arc. So that is one adaptation, for example. Then Aamir sir's scene of him walking in the end with the long monologue of him recounting all those incidents with the new coach, where he says, that was not there in the original.
Okay.
In the original, the thought was there that he is still running away from a buy, and they are there. Where he runs to, they are there.
Yeah, but given this flavor, I think this was absolutely necessary. You needed that closure.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
see, for me, for example, even Baddy, that the mouse scene, the interval scene, in the original, if you see it, it's a very, very matter of fact. It's It's a very small setup where
Here
he
it
finds...
becomes like a Disney scene.
It is a Disney scene. So for me, it's a Disney film. It's a Pixar film. It's like you take a very small kind of a thought and kind of make it cinematic, kind of make it visual. So for me, that interval scene is so important because for me, it was about Holi. Them celebrating Holi together in a way, which is a very North Indian thing. And also the mouse coming back and kind of bathing and all that water, it's a very inclusive kind of a thing. So I was having fun with this material as an audience myself. Like, what are the things I would love to see with my parents, with my kids? So I think that's the few examples of adaptation.
Right. So you wanted to make this Disney-esque kind of film.
Yeah.
So when you and Aamir were discussing the pitch of his performance, did he try a few variations and then you said this works?
Yeah, we did. We workshopped, and actually I think it's one of his very, very beautiful performances. Like throughout the film, see, he's playing a character who's got a lot of shades. In fact, if you see, a lot of the scenes is all about people kind of giving him a shock. He wants to do this, but something happens. He wants to do this. It's the same. The fact that he is able to kind of pull the whole film together until that last scene, which is actually his scene. In fact, at one point, I was discussing with Divya, should we have a cameo there with the new coach, just as a thought. Then, of course, we dispensed of the idea because, in a way, that is the scene where Aamir becomes Aamir. Till then, he is a person who's constantly at the butt of jokes, who's constantly receiving and reacting. This is the first time you hear him talk. So I quite like the performance of Aamir.
Right. No, I'm more interested in, did you try some variations before saying this works?
Correct. Because the tone of the hero has to be more than the tone, because tone is also very subjective in terms of that.
Again, let me clarify, because a lot of people said that Aamir was giving a very, very large, big performance. But I said, but that's perfectly in sync with the nature of the movie, because it is I don't mean cartoonish in a bad way, like you said, Disney-esque kind of movie. So it's a large performance, right?
See, it's like a movie where, for example, if you say a movie like Pamal Ke Sambandham, you see Panchatantram, there's an energy of it. See, I'll also tell you one thing, that today we have a lot of people who have a lot of opinions, which is great.
Right.
Sabka apna apna normal. I feel that those should be conversation starters. See, what we're also doing is, as actors therefore and as directors therefore, if we fall into this trap of a certain type of performance only being real, then we will not tap into other energies in the scene. If there is a scene where a chuha is there and he has to go all out, many actors don't know how to act that anymore. They've all used to kind of I conduct workshops with young actors, and I tell them that there are certain things that today, we are so afraid of, is it over the acting? Is it overacting? That we've decided that every scene will do like this.
Yeah, actually one of the beautiful things about that generation of Aamir, Shah Rukh, they can go really either way.
Correct.
They can do, like for example, if you see Shah Rukh in the Alia Bhatt movie, Dear Zindagi. That's a very Shah Rukh from a different Shah Rukh from him in Devdas or one of the other films. They can really straddle like a large range. So obviously when you come to Aamir's performance in this, it's a deliberate choice.
It is.
So that is why I'm asking you, did you guys...
More than that tone, Badi, what we were speaking of and what we were... In fact, we didn't even speak about it. That's the fact that we took it for granted that Mr. Aamir will do that. Is the fact that the innocence with which all the jokes have to land. Like any point of time, any of those lines which he says are actually horrible lines, right? He's saying that pagal ko pagal nahi bolte to kya? To kalu ko kalu hi bolunga. No, that kind of thing is very real conversations we have on the real world. But the manner in which AK sir plays it, that of an innocent person. What's wrong here? What's wrong in calling that guy a blackie? I mean, he's black. It's for him like 1 + 1 is 2 only. He's coming with that innocence. He's not coming with the understanding that it's hurting him. Yeah, I know it's going to hurt him. He is a blackie and F you. He's not saying that. That's a big... I think that is what is the, I would say, reason why I wanted Aamir sir to play this role. Quite like how Ayushmann straddled that very, very thin line of not coming across as creepy. All the lines of Ayushmann and Shubh Mangal are actually quite... There's a scene where she actually says, Bal tod ho gaya kya? I asked, what is bal tod? To the writer. When he described it to me, I was like, oh my God. But that is a question, and that the manner in which Bhumi also asks, like, do you have a throat infection or what? She's asking in that way. So I think that more than the tone, I feel the innocence with which these questions are asked, and that's why in this film, if you see, we wanted a person who's telling all of these things, but you cannot hate him. If you start hating him or if you find him disgusting, you cannot last the film.
Right.
And that was there in the original film also.
Yeah.
The actor who played the original character played it with such innocence.
Yeah.
I remember Aamir sir speaking about this in an interview, and that was also one of the reasons why I thought Aamir sir will be great. About Three Idiots. He spoke about how Raju sir script was there with Abhijat, and he said he loved it as it is, but he was telling Raju sir that I'll play it in a different way. Like right now, this hero has all the right answers. He seems to be cocky. So I need to play it so that he gives an example of that Russia and US space program where USA developed a very, very anti-gravity pen with all technology, and Russia kind of just said, why can't you use a pencil? Because the ink doesn't have to go up. So this thought was there in the question which he eventually asks Rancho in Three Idiots. So the way he asked was that he didn't kind of want to insult the professor or
there's
show
no
he's cocky.
antagonizing them.
No, he was just coming across, hey, you know what? Hey, we could have used a pencil, no? So then everybody can, hey, shut up, man. So that innocence, I think Aamir sir is, which he's got throughout the film.
Right.
So it's a very difficult, also the vulnerability of, I think, we often portray rude people. Or the other day I had a discussion with someone, one of the young film students, and he was saying, I would have liked to see him being more rude. I would have liked him to see me. I said, that's great. But what we need to discuss is how that one change is going to affect the other scenes. Because if he's rude, more rude than required, then am I going to hate him?
Yeah.
Do I care for him anymore? Like the way it's written, it's played, and all is played in that correct, I feel the correct meter of being rude, but not meaning to be rude.
Yeah. His ignorance is coming out of, there's some innocence also there.
Yeah. It's lack of awareness.
Lack of awareness.
And
So-
actually it happens a lot.
It does,
Buddy.
it does.
A lot of people who are so-called evolved, they themselves use words because we don't think.
We don't think. No, I think where the question is coming from is also where my next question is. One thing that did not work for me in the movie was the husband-wife relationship. Because these are very, very serious issues being, like one of them wants a child, one of them does not want a child. And there is also the case of a toxic parent who walked out on Aamir. So he walks out on the marriage before she can throw him out, though she's never given any such hint because she wants to work on the issues. Now, for such a person, that is the woman, for him to walk out and then they both act as if nothing happened and they are genuine partners in this whole thing, that I didn't get. Like that is that boxing punching bag scene where he thinks she's probably having an affair, but it's diffused in a way. Tell me what your thought process was in writing those scenes with that tonality.
Maybe because I'm married. I'm married, so I know that a lot of fights are not serious.
Right.
And for me, when I saw the original film, and this follows the beats of the original film,
Right.
they've had a fight. They are having a fight about wanting to have a child.
Right.
They're not having a fight because he's cheated on her or he's, that kind of a thing. And it's not for me a very serious issue because, like you see the first scene of them in the theatre, in the terrace, sorry. The first thing he says is, you've also given cash envelope, is it? Arey yaar. So there itself, and she says that, oh, you're meeting me after a week. And the first thing you're worried about is the envelope, not the fact that you've. And then he says sorry, and then she says, but how much did you give? There itself, one hopes that the whole thing is defined, that this is an unusual breakup. It's not even a breakup.
It's not even a breakup.
It's like a pause. And you know what, Badi, what happens is that in oftentimes in fights, what I loved about that scene, in the original film, it was in a slightly different way. And
This is the terrace scene or the punching bag scene?
The terrace scene, where the whole thing is set up, is very critical to understand them. And how I understood it. And, is that here is a couple who's just kind of, it's unusual that he's walked away for a week. It's actually unusual that they're not fighting over it. And for me, that was the attractive part.
Right.
The fact that I'm presenting a kind of walking out and taking a space and just as a very normalized thing. Now, I might not have done this in my marriage, but I've certainly walked out of the room and gone out for a walk. For me, that's how I see it. Because end of the day, they're not fighting. She's not saying you cheated on me. There was no domestic violence. There's no marital rape. She says, listen, you're avoiding this talk of having a child. And whenever I ask you about it, you seem to walk away from it. Maybe you'll attend a call. Maybe you'll say, I'll cook dinner for you, whatever. Basically, you want to walk away from this topic. He's walking away from this topic because he doesn't want to get into this. His life, his career is a mess and he's got so much more to do. He's ambitious. He wants to win. He wants to be a coach. So in that time, he's kind of taking her for granted. That you'll be there. And it's very, for me, it was very instructive from the text that it is not she who walks out. It is he who walks out. So she is a person who's enormously generous, who's enormously empathetic.
Right.
And she wants to still have a baby. Him walking out has not changed her and said that, now I'll not have a baby with you because you walked out. There are people like that.
Yeah.
In fact, a majority of the people are actually kind-hearted. Otherwise, most marriages would fail. It could be the male or the female. You'll often find in real life that a very caduce, a very arrogant guy, married to a very, very soft-hearted, female, and sometimes you may feel, why? But that's their normal. And same way with male and female also. You'll find a very, very arrogant female, always kind of shouting and all that. The guy is like, she's like that. Maybe they've married from childhood, they know. So I love that part about it.
Right.
The fact that it's not a very serious breakup.
I like the fact that you said it's their normal. So they've defined that for themselves.
They've defined that for themselves.
Yeah.
And it stays true. Like even the fact that for me, what I found funny about that thing was, there are 3 layers to his objection. Like he says, यार मेरे ही कमरे में एक ही महीना हुआ है. So wait, you're worried about, it's a very Woody Allen-ish thing, not to be, for me, I didn't think it through too seriously, Like the fact that it's only 1 month. You're bonking somebody in my room on my song.
Yeah.
So the very construct of that, it's a very cute, it's a very quirky, it's a very funny thing. It doesn't say that every man has to respond this way, but the fact that even he's okay with her kind of cheating on him because, he's left her and all that. And he's like, oh, maybe she's moved on from me. I'm a loser in life. That's how I saw it.
Right.
I'm a loser in life. She deserves better. But it's a very quirky thing.
Yeah, and I think this is why these conversations help, because the thing is, because you've lived with this film and these decisions for so long, they do not seem like problem points to you because you have lived with that for so long. Whereas somebody comes into a movie and sees something like this, they're probably going to think, wow, she's really taking it lightly. So this conversation helps to kind of, to kind of see where you're coming from. And because sometimes what happens is, in this case, it's worked. So like people have seen this as a broad movie and
No, I'll also talk about this broad movie, which I'm trying to understand, because for me, I don't know what you mean by a broad movie.
No,
because
broad
I think
as
it's a very
in, it's
movie.
like,
I feel it's a lot of subtlety in the movie. So when you say it's a broad movie,
no, I see. I'll tell
are
you.
you referring to the arc of it?
For me, one of my favorite scenes and one that is when he visits the house of Hargovind, the guy with invisible autism.
Yeah.
And that's a very magical scene for me. That's like, see, I don't believe in subtle movies are good. Broad movies are bad.
I understand.
That's not my thing at all.
Course,
See,
of course.
a movie has a meter and you
Correct.
hop onto that and
Correct.
travel with the film.
Correct.
I don't want everything to be natural, real, subtle. Whatever the movie is, that's the movie. Now, if I like it, it's on that meter. It's not like wanting it to be something else.
Correct.
So for me, that meter worked because it had this lovely broadness as in like this thing where he mistakes somebody else for the mother.
Yeah.
So the thing is not allowed to get too serious, and yet there's a serious issue at play there. That thing gets done, but you're breaking the seriousness of that issue by the ending, which is like a very funny ending. So you're kind of having this wonderful mix of flavors in that one scene, which is for me a wonderful Indian film scene because it's Indian mainstream film scene because you start off. It's a very tricky balance. It's like because you want that the
do
issue,
justice to both.
Do both. You want to make sure that the boy's story is heard, understood, relatable to Aamir and his own story.
Correct.
But at the same time, you don't want it to become like, oh my God, the scene is like a 10-ton brick that's falling on me. I want to lighten it towards the end and kind of thing. So you're doing that, right?
That I felt was happening in a few scenes, and those scenes worked like really well for me.
Thank you.
The other scenes were not were at a like a broader level. For example, when I say broad, one thing that I would have liked, and I would like to know why you did not do this, is sure one of the successes of this film is the fact that you have not played up the special kids, the Sitaare, for sympathetic value.
Correct.
You're not saying, oh, you feel sorry for this kid. No, no, no. You're saying they're all rock stars in their own way, and they are going to be exactly the way they are. But still, their parents must not have had it easy.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, you're treating them like a rock star and all that. That's the way the film used them. But in bringing up a child like this, it might not have been easy. Maybe I would have liked to see a little bit of that. That is not the defining tone of the movie.
Of course, of course.
But and again, this is the movie that I would have liked. So that technically doesn't qualify because I'm watching the movie that you have made, not the movie that I think should have been made. That doesn't.
No, but it's an interesting conversation, Baddy, which is why I like talking to you. So, you know, a lot of it, it's the original movie. I'm going back to the original text. So I'm looking at the original movie as a text, the Spanish film also. What I loved about it was I was looking for these things and it didn't give me that.
Okay.
For example, if I'm going to tell you a story of a guy whose leg is broken, and you're constantly like, now the backstory will come and I don't give it to you. And if that is the film, because the final message of the film is that, then why do you want to know my sob story? The Kartar Paji says so beautifully that everything that is beautiful will have some struggle. Then he says, but what is beautiful about these guys, right? So he says that every house is you know, ages like a person. And when you have special people in your house refuses to age. You know, that might actually be the most advantageous thing, because having lived with them for last 3 years, it's a very, very true statement, right? So we already know that the audiences who this is intended for, right, are already waiting for that thing to happen. And we are not giving that. And in not giving that, I feel, well, if you're so interested, you could have talked to that Down syndrome child in your neighborhood, which you avoided all your life. Going back to myself, I could have done it. Actually, you know what? I'm not interested in that. I'm scared of it. I don't want to see it, which is perfectly fine. This 2 hours, 20 minutes film is for those people who are well-intentioned, who are scared to have a conversation, who are feeling awkward, who may have called them pagal or whatever. So those good versions of Gulshans, now if I tell them that this is, maybe that may be another story altogether, you know, and those are all valid stories. But in this spell of storytelling, I'm assuming that that's what you're expecting. And the fact that these guys are above all of that, you know. So it is just that thing, right? Don't talk about the one thing which is obvious, you know, and then that's how you normalize it. And eventually, yeah, now that, see what this movie we hope to do, and it's doing, is the fact that now if you find some person who's with Down syndrome or autism, who's watched this film, they will not be awkward. They may actually go and smile. They may actually, you know, give them a hug. Or if they come and give a hug, they will not get repelled. You know, so also we are talking to a society, Baddy, which is slowly, step by step only we can start the conversation, right? So I feel that by not going into too much of you know, sorrow in the movie, even in the choice of music, because I felt that the tone of this film is defined by the Sitaare. Actually, when you meet them, on all the characters, as you see, they refuse to make themselves a sob story. That's my gut feeling, and that's what I feel as a filmmaker, that they will not tell you a sob story. So then this film also should not tell the sob story. That's the tone of this film.
Yeah.
That everything in that will come, they will smack you with their goodness, because they are above us. Because if they start telling their sob story, like he says, Kartar Paji says that how much has life given them to complain? If they start complaining, then...
And plus, to be fair, you do show bits of them working their very menial jobs outside of what they're doing here.
So what we wanted to show was that what we don't know. What you perhaps know is they have a sob story. Now what you don't know is all of this. They have a prostitute as a girlfriend. They work in offices. They are very intelligent. They can work in a film with Aamir Khan and make a hit out of it. All of these things we don't know until it happens. I think the magic lies in that. So I think it's that is also part of the calculation, but it came intuitively when I saw the original film that wow, man, there's not even one scene there which kind of, you know, cried for sympathy. The empathy and sympathy, you know, it's a very, very fine line. Again, that's very subjective, but very conscious choice to not delve into that, because end of the day, they don't want to talk about it. And actually, at least these 10, you go talk to them, they refuse to talk about it. They will talk about you, they'll talk about today, they'll talk about the work. In all these 5 years, not once, and this is shocking, which is why for me, you know, this is a opportunity to kind of say the behind the scenes also. Not one day, if they are sad, I go sit with them. You know what they'll be sad about? I said good morning and this guy is so rude to me. He said, no, I don't want to say good morning. They're not going to talk to you about, I was up for getting killed at my birth. I was not given admission. I don't know why they don't talk about it. So I think then when I met them for the auditioning, I realized why this film also respects that tone.
Right. So it's a conscious decision to, and which is clearly resonated, because I have a theory that today people want to see films that they relate to, but they don't want to get too much into that issue. Like there was this, Tamil film called Tourist Family. There's this. What happened is it's a blockbuster, but it's also something that if you hear the story, the one line, you think it's a very serious and emotional story. But what the director does, and the writing is what works for me here, is he's infused so much of comedy into the film that the kind of you feel you're on a ride of a very different sort from what you expected.
Correct.
And this is the second film this year that made me feel that, which is Sitaare. Because it's like, I knew that this is what the general tone, because that's established very clearly in the trailer.
The trailer, yeah.
Yeah. So, another thing I want to
Also,
talk...
it's interesting, if I may give you another example, a lot of criticism of Life is Beautiful was also the same when it started.
Right.
So that's a classic. But I'm talking about the general attempt at kind of telling a story which one would kind of talk about it with a lot of sorrow and reverence. Then comes a film like Life is Beautiful with the Holocaust in the background, the father not wanting to talk about the horror, to protect the child from the horror of this. So that is the intent of it.
Yeah.
So here also, I think if the intent is not organic to the story, then it becomes a problem. Suppose, recently I'll tell you, I met a wonderful gentleman called Divyanshu. I met him at the Spanish embassy. There was an event in Delhi, a special screening of Sitaare Zameen with a lot of special people in the audience, and Divyanshu was one of the panelists. So he's a guy who's lost his eyesight. He is apparently a pilot. He goes for gliding. He kind of does this what is that, mountain biking and all. Yeah, I was stunned. He's so full of humor, Badi, and he just refuses to. He just doesn't talk about it. He talks about what he wants to do, and in that doing so, he brings tears to our eyes, and in doing so, he kind of inspires us, because we know, all of us know how difficult it is for him to even walk on the stage. Not only that, because he doesn't want our pity.
Yeah.
He says, boss, I am and you and I, let's have fun together. And in doing so, he becomes a superhero for me, And he speaks with full of humor and all that. So I think if the tone is organic to it, like for example, I don't think so. Therefore, I don't think that it's about not wanting to go deep enough. It's a choice of the tone of the storytelling. If it is organic to that.
That's what I'm saying. Every single thing is a product, is the result of a choice, right? Yeah. Now, you and Aamir could have said, okay, this is the original. We need to I need more tears in the movie. But you guys...
Also, it's organic to the point of view. Like Tourist Family has got a kid. Life is Beautiful has got a father and son. Here is Gulshan's point of view. How seriously is he going to take a sob story?
Yeah.
If you tell him a sob story, if Kartar Paji had told him a sob story and not told him this is bum and all that, he would have barked, okay, big deal, ha ha ha. Yeah. He's that kind of a guy. Yeah. He can say, oh, boo hoo, up yours, and he'll walk off. He's quite capable of doing that.
Right.
That guy cannot be told a sob story to change his mind. That guy has to be going through this journey to change his mind, is what we feel.
What is the one piece of criticism against this film that really, really hit you hard? And what is the one praise about this film that really made you feel happy?
Honestly, I have not. I think there's been a lot of love. So I don't know if any criticism has come. Honestly, maybe the backhanded criticism in the sense that, like, why did it take so long for this movie to happen? You know, like 8 years of waiting and all that. That is a kind of a backhanded criticism for me, you know. But honestly, there is amount of love this film has got is just overpowering, right? And of course, craft wise, every film one learns. But I think that is something which will come a little later for me. Right now, it's been an overwhelmingly positive love from everyone. And any constructive criticism or anything, like, it'll become a conversation. Positive thing which kind of really struck a chord for me was the amount of the number of videos being shared of people with Down syndrome and autism visiting the theater for the first time, and they sharing videos of them laughing, crying, watching the movie, coming out, dancing in the end song. Those videos are coming up a lot, and they tag us, and many of them say they look just like me.
Yeah.
So that is a wonderful, and also the intent was, Badi, also to kind of have a movie which is a platform. Like, how else can we see a person with Down syndrome on the big screen with Aamir Khan and sports and all of these things, right? I think that also cinema does very, very beautifully. So when you see the film kind of rising above just being a film and now becoming the people's thing, like, okay, your job is done, get out. Now this is my film. So they are seeing so much of meaning to it. They are breaking down. So someone had told me that it is so one message particularly of a brother writing about, which we read out also, a brother writing about his special person in his family and how much of pain they had gone through, and the very fact that they said that you didn't seek sympathy at all, and the very fact that you gave us a happy film, the message that all of us can be happy, you know, together. I think that those kind of messages really moved all of us to tears. And then you feel that, okay, there's a film, there's a job, there's all that, but then this is something much beyond that. And I remember Aamir sir telling in our party which we organized for our Sitaare and the parents, very intimate party, Aamir sir just looked at me and said, I think we've struck a deep chord. So that was a great moment for me.
Yeah. So, but personally, I'm super thrilled for you.
Thank you.
Because I know the journey that you've been through with this movie, and it's not been an easy journey, both creatively and personally.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the tunnel, I guess, whatever it is, when there's so much light and there's, that you feel a sense of vindication that, okay, you did the right thing, moving to Bombay, doing this movie, placing a trust in Aamir Khan, whatever it is. For you personally, I'm super thrilled.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, and it's also very nice to know that movies still can draw audiences to the theaters, even if they are, whether it's Tourist Family or Sitaare Zameen, whether or not you personally resonate with the film, that certain movies like this, which are not these big action mass blockbusters, the smaller films, it's smaller in terms of size, in terms of stars, those can still bring people to theaters.
Yeah.
I think movies need to keep proving that, because we are so obsessed with 1,000 crores and will this movie break the 1,200 crore, 1,500 crores? Will this be the first 2,000 crore movie? That seems to be, when that narrative is going on, for Sitaare to do whatever it's done, it's amazing. So I think, so I'm super happy for you, and
Thank you.
all the best for your next film.
Thank you. And also I must thank you for one of Aamir sir got talking to you and how. So I went later on, saw the video of Aamir sir with you, and I was in tears completely. I was destroyed by the love he spoke about, and I was so happy that it was in your interview that he spoke about me, and I was so happy with my
But you know
family.
something?
Haan.
He actually, I was going to bring you up anyway. He actually said, by the way, we should talk about Prasanna, okay? I'll answer all these questions. But we have to talk about Prasanna. He actually stopped off camera and said this, and he then spoke about whatever he said to you.
So for me, Badi, that moment, and I'm happy it happened in your interview.
Yeah.
That was really a very 5 years journey, but it gave me energy for another 50 years, to come from Aamir sir, that thing. And I think eventually, for me, the summation of this is just that filmmakers can be emotional, Filmmakers can be real, filmmakers can be honest, and we can still have a beating heart and make movies. Like you rightly said, I feel that closer to life and larger than life are two valid ways of
Yeah.
making films, and they're not one against the other. You know, we love a roller coaster ride as much as we love a bike ride with our sweetheart. So both I want,
Both are,
you know,
yeah,
in life.
yeah. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.